So, again, how are you today? Thank you for joining me.
I'm very well. Thank you for having me. I've been really looking forward to this.
So, just want to introduce yourself, Betty. So, how did you get started in astrology and stuff like that? Just tell me your whole story.
Okay, well, my name is Betty Steele. I live on Long Island in New York. I have been practicing astrology professionally for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when I was young, my mom would take me to the library.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be like, can I have a book on astrology? And then, nobody knew why I was interested in this, but I was just always very interested in astrology.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to know everybody's sign. And I believe I came in with it from past lives because I was very drawn to it. And nobody in my family did it. So it's not like I was born into it. I just came in. I came into it. And then I would just study and read books. And then I started to get older and I would take classes. And then it just evolved. And then I started teaching adult education classes and giving readings. And I had moved to Arizona for a while. Mm-hmm. And I had a little store there where I did readings and I did Reiki. Then I had my daughter. Mm-hmm. And I took off for about 3 years. And then I came back to New York. And now I have an office in my home. And I do speaking events. I do readings online. I do readings in my office and videos and things like that.
That's so cool because I've always been interested in astrology. Like me and my mother, we're just obsessed with zodiac signs. Like I always say, like the Leo was always the best zodiac sign in my opinion.
I guess you're a Leo.
Yes. What is your zodiac sign?
My sun sign is an Aries. I have an Aries sun sign. Mm-hmm. And I'm a rising Scorpio, and my moon is in Scorpio.
Oh, cool. Like, I've always been, like, kind of confused with natal charts, too. Can you give, like, a brief explanation on that?
Oh, sure. I would love to. Your natal chart is a snapshot of the sky at the moment of your birth. Okay. And so the zodiac, it's a belt. So picture just like a big circle in the sky. Mm-hmm. And it's got 12 archetypes. And so we incarnate, it's all energy. Mm-hmm. All the different planets are energy. They vibrate at different frequencies, and then they travel through the constellations and the signs like Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. They give the flavor. And then there's picture a circle, mm-hmm. and cut that circle into 12 pieces like a pie. Okay. That is what your chart is. And then the houses stay the same, but the planets move and they go through the signs. So everybody's chart is different. Mm-hmm. And it all vibrates and gives different information from the frequencies and the energy that plays together. Mm-hmm. So I believe that we choose the perfect time to jump through this circle, okay. to incarnate with the archetypal energy that would be optimum for us to develop and evolve. Mm-hmm. But we forget who we are because we are infinite spiritual beings. We are infinite beings of light. And then when we come down here in order to play the game right, we have to forget.
Wow, that is so interesting. So I usually look it up and I'm always like confused, especially with like, in regards to the rising sign and the sun sign. Like what is the difference between those two?
Okay, well, the rising sign is the sign that is on the horizon at the moment of your birth. So that changes about, give or take, every 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And so your sun sign is where the sun was traveling through on the day of your birth. So, and that's why it changes, because you could be a Leo sun sign. Mm-hmm. But you could have, say, your sun in the 12th house, mm-hmm. and you could have Pluto there. Or you could, no, you wouldn't have Pluto there unless you were really old, but you could have Saturn there. And then you wouldn't function like people would expect a Leo to function. Yeah. So there's a lot more to it than the sun sign, and I do recommend if people are going to read the columns, mm-hmm. I mean, keep in mind that it's just entertainment. But you would want to read your rising sign. So you can find that out. You could call me for a reading. Or you could go online and just go. They have free places where you can get your rising sign. You just put in your birth information. You need to know the time you were born to get your rising sign. Your rising sign is what you came here to learn. Mm-hmm. It's how you greet the world. It's sort of like your mask.
Okay.
And so it's how you feel into a room. When you walk into a room, people with water or earth are going to be more quiet and reserved, and people with fire sign rising, or they're going to be like, hey, and they're going to walk in and get all crazy. But it's how, everybody's different. And so the rising sign, I believe, there's a lot of different philosophies, but I believe in evolutionary astrology that there is no good or bad, that we co-create our lives.
Yeah.
And that's why I love astrology, because knowing our own energy and what we do to ourselves to get ourselves in trouble, and, just being aware of our dynamics and our subconscious patterns. Mm-hmm. So the rising sign is kind of like your mask, and it's what you're here to learn. Your sun sign is like your vessel. It's like what all of the other, it's like your stained glass mirror, your stained glass window, what all the other signs, and they fly through this. So that gives you your stamina. Mm-hmm. And your moon sign is super important because that's your emotions. That's your subconscious. And
I know my moon sign is in Pisces, actually.
Oh, really? Oh, so you're a Leo? Yeah. Sun sign with, well, that's wonderful because you have this amount of sensitivity and...
Very so.
Do you know your rising sign?
I don't, actually. That's the only thing I'm confused about. So I'll have to look it up again.
Well, I'll look it up for you when we're done, and I'll tell you. I'll run your chart for you. I'll send you over a copy of your chart.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, I would love to.
So I know you actually went to my next question with regards to astrology columns and columnists posted on the internet and newspapers. So do you believe they do harm or create like a more of a public interest in astrology?
Well, I guess that's a touchy situation because I do have some friends who write columns, and I do think there's value in it, but you have to remember that there is no one size fits all, and see, that kind of gives astrology it doesn't give us a good standing because if you look at it, everybody reads a little thing, a blurb, and 1 in 12 people have the same exact day and the same exact life, and that's not true. Mm-hmm. And like I said, if you were going to read the columns, you would want to read your rising sign because it kind of is flavored on where all the planets are sitting in the houses. That's how it's kind of like a fortune cookie, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Like you can, if you want to take that seriously, then maybe you have deeper issues. Like there's, I don't, it's like a fortune cookie. But if you really want to know, we're very unique, and everybody is different. You can't go by the sun sign, and you just can't go by the rising or the moon. You have to look at the chart. Yeah. Because it's this one little piece of paper is like a 10,000 page book. Mm-hmm. It goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and the way that the planets play together, and the energy, and also how the transits are affecting. There's so much it's so in depth that you could get into trouble if you take that very seriously.
Gotcha.
But I mean, it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. I actually look at some of them, but I don't take them too seriously. But now that you say that, it's like, wow, I shouldn't take it too seriously then.
Well, how I believe that sometimes in life there's signs, for us along our path. So maybe once in a while it could serve, maybe your angel or your spirit guide, put that in your path. So you would if it's resonating with you, I think as with anything in life, if it makes you feel positive or it empowers you, run with it. True. But I wouldn't live my life by them because it's too vague. You'd have to get your chart done.
Yeah, definitely. So do you think, like, with the natal charts, how do you, I'm going to put this in an actual question. How do you determine that with compatibility?
For couples?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I love doing couples readings. And that's actually, you can do a couple of different, there's a bunch of different techniques. Mm-hmm. You can do the comparison chart where you just place the two charts on top of each other. And you see how the energies play together. You want just, if you have your moon in Leo and my moon is in Scorpio, well, we could be really good friends and we could really help each other see things differently, but it might not be very comfortable to be married to somebody like that because what that means is how you feel and how I feel do not agree. We do not see things the same way. So you look for aspects and you look for things like that. There's certain things that you want to look for, like Venus, moon can, you want to look for sun, moon. You want to make sure, and you even want some Saturn in there, which, believe it or not, because Saturn is usually known as a malefic. Mm-hmm. But Saturn seems to be the tie that binds in the charts. When I see people who have long-standing relationships, there's some Saturn on a sun or a moon or a Venus. It kind of is the tie that binds. It brings responsibility. It may not be the happiest, joyfulest relationship, but it's a long-lasting one because it's responsibility. And then there's also something called a composite chart, which is where you put two people's birth data into the program, and it kind of smushes it together, and then it creates a chart of who you are with this person.
Okay, wow.
Is that what?
Is that online or no?
I don't think you could do it online, and you need somebody to interpret it for you.
Okay, gotcha.
And you don't want to get into those things where you start reading, like the cookbooks, because it's, anybody who does anything, well, you need a professional to read it for you. This is a sacred language. Astrology's been around since the beginning of time. Mm-hmm. These symbols, this is a sacred language, and you want somebody who takes it very seriously and who also honors the human experience, because you could damage somebody.
Mm-hmm. That's true, yeah.
Yeah, people come to you, and often when they come to somebody like me, they are in a vulnerable situation. They're feeling lost, or not all the time, but a lot of times they're at a crossroads. So you have to be very careful, and you want to be loving, and you want to be honest, but you have to be, so some people I've seen, astrologers and psychics, and, they get very impressed with themselves. They get very impressed with, oh, look at what I know, and they'll throw it, they throw it on somebody, and not thinking of the damage you just did to this other soul, and how that affects them.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's really interesting. And I know, with readings, what's the best time to get a reading done, in your opinion?
Well, I think anytime. Anytime because the natal chart, I recommend anybody who hasn't had one, I think it's an amazing thing to do for yourself, because it gives you information into you. Who doesn't love to talk about themselves? It gives you...
Especially a Leo, yes.
Oh my gosh, I know. Leos, they love it. They lay back, you tickle their belly, and just tell them all about themselves. No, but everybody loves it. There's not one person who doesn't love it. It's super interesting. If we talk about, we can see, I start in the beginning, we talk a little bit about your childhood, your parents, your relationship with the sisters and the brothers and the early childhood, and that kind of serves us to get a bond, a bridge in there. And then we talk about, okay, everybody's different. Some people are very stubborn. Some people can't make a decision. We talk about what are your strengths and what are your challenges. And let people know sometimes we do things and we don't realize it. You can be stubborn. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people love to be like, oh, I'm stubborn. And they're very proud of themselves that they're so stubborn. Yeah. And that's okay. But I'm stubborn too. So hi, but the thing is this serving me? To be aware of, okay, you may be a little, and it's just energies. If you have a lot of fixed energy in your chart, it's great because you're not a quitter. You're very loyal and you'll stick things out. But you also have to say to yourself, all right, am I staying in a situation that isn't serving me? Am I staying someplace, or am I doing something, or am I digging in and it's not helping my evolution, or it's hurting me? And just to be aware. Some people have bad tempers. Some people have anxiety, because by looking at somebody's chart, I can give them recommendations based on their energy of different techniques that can help them. A lot of people actually have, overthinking. They can't get out of their head. Mm-hmm. And, meditation I love it. It's great in yoga, but it doesn't work for everybody. So based on your energetic patterns, we can talk about things that will help you get out of your own way. And it's just having information and just asking yourself, and also having a sense of humor, not taking everything so seriously, and being like, all right, do I have a bad temper? Well, okay, why? What can I do about that? And to just really touch down and realize, why am I behaving this way? Why am I attracting this into my life? Because a lot of times that's the thing, is people say, why is this happening to me? And 99% of the time, it's because that's what we're attracting. Yeah. By our energetic field, and so by knowing who you are and what you're doing and what you're putting out there, you can raise your vibration.
So do you think that they can change themselves, in a sense?
Oh, absolutely. You can improve yourself. And that's what I look to do, is to empower somebody, to give them information. And also, when we do the natal chart, then we also do the transits, which gives timing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes a relationship may be falling away, and that's very sorrowful. But it will show us, where can we put our energy, because there's always something we can do. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that ride is closed. So then we go to the other ride, and we go and we work on our career. Maybe it's a great time to write a book or get a new job or to travel or spend time with friends. You know, there's always timing. So it serves to what is working, what's not working, where do I need to put my attention. And it's extremely empowering, and it changes people's lives because it gives you information. Sometimes when it's you have like blind spots. You don't see yourself. And also, everybody I've noticed thinks that everybody else is exactly the same, that they see things the same and they feel the same way and they have the same reactions. And that's not true.
Definitely not.
Yeah. And that helps somebody to realize, wow, maybe this person isn't behaving this way because they are trying to hurt me. They're just different.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I'm thinking of someone that is kind of like that in my life, too, that may not want to hurt me, but doesn't have the same heart as I do. So that's really interesting.
Well, you know, with the water moon like you have, you've got to be careful because you're very sensitive and empathic. Water moons are very empathic, and people like with fire moons, it doesn't mean that they're not nice people. Yeah. You know, it doesn't mean that they're not kind. And it just means that they may not be as sensitive, and especially sensitive to other people. Mm-hmm. You pick up the feeling, so you kind of already have a leg up.
Yeah.
You know, some people, they don't. Some people, you have to hit them over the head with a bat. You're like, hello. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
I have a question, too. I've heard the difference. I never really heard the difference, but I always wanted to know what the difference was between soulmates and twin flames. Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, I would love to talk about that. I think it's fascinating. Yeah. Okay, so this is all, of course, my opinion.
Yeah.
But all right, soulmates, I have a little thing that I think is hysterical, because when like younger girls come into my office and they sit down and they have their eyes are all full of stars and they look at me and I think he's my soulmate. I found my soulmate. And I say, oh, congratulations. That's great. You know, soulmates usually kill each other.
Oh, wow.
Because why do you think you're soulmate? You keep coming back. When you come back to see the same person in the beginning, it's exciting and wonderful, but why do you think you're back together? You have unfinished business. You know, you have unfinished business. And there's different levels of soulmates. So there's like your soul family that you incarnate with, like you could have like your mom could have been your brother in your past life, or your dad could have been your, you know, and we come back and forth. So, you know, your mother could have been your daughter. You change roles. We go back, you know, through the lifetimes. So you have different ones. You have soulmates that, like, you come together, they kind of rally you. You meet them at different times in your life, like friends.
Yeah.
And those are the people that always remind you who you are. So there's that connection. Mm-hmm. Then you have soulmates that come in, and it can be more painful. It's sometimes you have a soulmate that will come in a lot of times in relationships. Mm-hmm. Perhaps there was a married couple, and maybe one of them passed away quickly and they didn't get to say goodbye. Mm-hmm. So in this lifetime, they meet up again just to say goodbye. Yeah. But that's also very painful, because you see this person, you have such strong feelings and attachments for them, but you're not meant to walk together in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And so that could be very painful. And so having this information helps. Is it not going to be painful? No, but at least you understand. And then there's sometimes, you know, everybody's different. You could have, some people, it's great. They meet in high school and they live every single day until they die together. And that's beautiful, you know, but how much growth is there?
Yeah, that's true.
No. You know, not a lot. But I think everybody's different. And I think my opinion is sometimes we get a couple of hard life cycles.
Yeah.
Maybe everybody does. You see those people who get to just sit around and be rich and they don't have any problems. Well, maybe they're just like taking a nap this time. Maybe they just need a break. Like, you know, and then you have, these are the soulmates. So you have soulmates help you grow. You help each other grow. So a soulmate too, let me tell you something else, another one that people don't like to realize, but those people who piss you off, you know, the ones that push your buttons and you just hate, that's That's a soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
That's a soulmate. So I recommend with that to break the cycle so you don't have to keep running into these people. You can't change anybody else, but you can change yourself. So you can release the anger and just send them love. Mm-hmm. Instead of playing into it, and realize when somebody's pushing your button, when you go like to be a monk or a Buddhist or something, and you go into this training, you have your guru, all they do is aggravate you. That's the training of a monk. Wow. Your buttons get pushed until you come to the place in yourself where you don't let anybody push your buttons. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what that's about. Now the twin flame. I don't want to go too boring with the history, but when you go,
I really want to know what this actually means.
Well, okay, so this is a theory, and I really like it. So in the beginning, I believe very much. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Anunnaki or how they came. Well, in the beginning, we were androgynous. Angels are androgynous. There is no male and female, masculine and feminine. And we all have masculine and feminine energy in us. Yeah. So in the beginning, when we were created, I believe that we were androgynous and we were very powerful, like angels. Mm-hmm. And one of the higher ranking beings was like, what the hell did you just do? You made these people so powerful. So they kind of cut us. Mm-hmm. And they split, so our feminine and our masculine were separated. Mm-hmm. So your twin flame is the other half of you. Oh, wow. And you don't now, and that's very exciting, but the thing is, to get a twin flame is like winning Powerball, because it's not, you don't get together until you both have balanced the masculine and feminine inside of you. Kundalini yoga is a wonderful practice to get yourself on the path. You have to balance your hemispheres, the masculine and the feminine. Once you are completely whole within yourself, then you can attract and you come back together. But that takes a lot of lifetimes. It's not an easy process. Yeah. Not everybody will meet their twin flame. Mm-hmm. In this lifetime.
So would you say that they met in a different lifetime and something happened and they aren't able to find them anymore, or?
No, it's you. It's a part of you. It's like if I cut you in half.
Mm. Oh, okay.
And, then you became whole, then it's you. It's a part of you. It's your soul. You're connected. You're part of the same. You were, androgynous. And then they took the female and the male, and they separated them. Mm-hmm. Wow. So in order to attract them back, we need to balance our hemispheres and balance, and get into our own body and to be 100% out of our toxic, mm-hmm. Out of our addictions, out of our fear, out of our grief. And it's not easy. A lot of people have a lot of wounding and trauma, and it's a challenge. But that's a great incentive to get on the path to healing yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely true. Well, I honestly didn't really know the difference between those two. That's really, mind-blowing a little bit.
Well, a soulmate, you find a really great soulmate and you can rock it out and have a great life. It's not like, you will eventually. There is really no time. This is all an illusion. So you will always get back to there. But we just come down here. We need to forget in order to play the game. Mm-hmm. We need to forget who we are. And we are infinite, spiritual, powerful beings. Yeah. And, the creator, the power, the source is all inside of us.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's so interesting. Oh my God. I just feel like right now. A couple more questions I have for you, actually. Do you ever come across people who doubt what you do for a living? What do you say to people who are skeptical about astrology?
Oh, sure, I do all the time, my whole life. I mean, to be an astrologer, you have to really be okay with being looked upon as a wackadoo, Mm-hmm. I don't care, and I guess I'm lucky that I don't care. I notice in a lot of people, I always say to them, I'm like, why do you care? Mm-hmm. So I think that I was blessed with that. I was blessed with the fact that I just really don't care what you think. Mm-hmm. Because I don't believe in astrology. I know it. Yeah. No, I had my own experience. I think religion is believing in somebody else's experience, and spirituality is knowing your own experience. And not to put anybody down, I think I'm not, everybody, I believe, and especially doing astrology, to each his own, and everybody is different, and do what you got to do. And I respect everybody, but this is what I believe. I don't argue with people. So, people ask me, I don't need to walk into a room and demand you believe me. I don't feel the need to prove anything to anybody. I don't, if somebody, I don't argue with them. If they want to sit down and have a rational conversation, I would love to talk to them and explain to them the things that I've studied and the things that I know, because the further you go back into history, there it is. There's astrology.
Yeah.
Since the beginning of time. Stonehenge, the site Stonehenge in England, there are sites like that all over the globe. And do you know what they are?
No, I don't.
They built those devices. Well, they together they resonate a lot of energy and frequency. So there are a couple of reasons, but they cast charts. That's how they cast charts. That's how they followed the zodiac and astrology, and that's how they found out where the sun was located and the eclipses and the equinoxes.
Oh, wow.
So this was all geared towards astrology.
Yeah.
And astrology, if you look back through history, has been, Ptolemy, Einstein, Socrates, Plato, Nostradamus, all of these people, these wonderful thinkers, were astrologers.
Yeah.
And they always put great, belief and great, it was like you couldn't be a doctor if you weren't an astrologer.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was the wisdom teachings through Egypt and Greece, astrology, which is a huge part of it, until Julius Caesar came in and they were fighting. The Rome took over Greece. Mm-hmm. Then the Vatican was implemented, and they stole all of the wisdom teachings. They threw them in the basement of the Vatican, and they told anybody, because they didn't want us to have the power. They didn't want us to know that the power is inside of us. Mm-hmm. They want us to go to them and give them money and,
Mm-hmm. They want to profit off of it, basically.
Yes, exactly. And they didn't want us to be powerful, because if we're powerful, we don't make good minions.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So they take it away. The witch trials, I could go on and on and on. I don't. They came and that they killed over 9 million women.
Yeah. Wow.
This is the Vatican did this. The Pope. Mm-hmm. He set this whole thing into motion. He made this handbook, the Malicious Manifestario or whatever it was, and it was just basically a handbook on how to kill anybody if you didn't like a woman, because the divine feminine was very powerful. It used to be astrology and hermetics. Everything was a goddess based. Mm. It wasn't God and God is outside of me. It was the goddess religion.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of temples.
I told you on my next episode, I'm doing something regarding women, so I definitely have to use that quote that you just said.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I would love if you want to talk afterwards, because I love the divine feminine. I study this, and and the thing is that nobody knows about this. Nobody talks about this. How come nobody knows that these women were slaughtered and murdered and killed? Yeah. And for no reason. If you didn't like somebody, you could just be like, oh, they're a witch. Mm. And they would come and torture you until you admitted it. And eventually you're going to admit it when they're like sticking hot coals in your eyeball. Yeah. You're like, okay, I'm a witch. I'm sorry. To get them to stop. But I don't know. I got a little crazy there. I digress. But so they came and they took all of the information. There was the Library of Alexandria. Caesar destroyed it. Then with the information that was left, this was an 800-year-old university. It was the first university. Wow. It had knowledge and wisdom and all of this from all over the world. And he destroyed it. They didn't want everybody to have knowledge. They didn't want people to have access to this kind of knowledge. Mm-hmm. And I believe now that the divine feminine is rising, and this is coming back and taking our power back, and so many more people are coming into this. So I guess you asked me, what do I say to people? I don't say much unless they want to sit down and have an intelligent conversation. Yeah. I'll say, do the research, read, go back in history. I don't have to tell you. Go do the research. It's been there.
Wow, that's really insightful and amazing. I definitely have to look that up, because that's, wow.
If you're interested in it, you can go down this rabbit hole. There's there's these texts. Is this called, we're not, but it's called.
It's recording, so.
It's called the Atrahasis. It's Atrahasis. I recommend everybody reads it. It's not very long. These are tablets that were found, dated back to 100,000. I mean, it's so old. Tells a story.
Mm-hmm.
When you read that story, it's very familiar to the stories that they told us in the Bible. What they said happened there. This story happened a lot longer before that happened.
Wow.
So I tell people, I invite them, why don't you do the research, and then we'll have a conversation.
Yeah. That's incredible. So what advice would you give to people who want to learn about astrology?
Well, I would say to go to an astrologer. And actually, I don't know if this is okay, but I made a coupon code for your listeners if they wanted to.
Definitely. I'd like to put them on the website.
Okay, it's called I Just Made a Pretty Please.
Oh, cool. Oh.
And they'll get $25 off of any reading.
Oh, nice.
As a gift. Oh, well, no, thank you so much as a gift to you and your listeners. But I would recommend if you're interested in learning about astrology, first thing to do is learn about you, because that's the funnest. Because then you're going to be interested. You'll be like, oh, my Mars is in Aquarius. Oh, my Mars squares my moon. Oh, what does that mean? And then as you learn about yourself, and then you start to branch out, and you're like, let me see your chart. Then you're going to do your best friend's chart.
Yeah.
And then, there's books. You could read. Stephen Forrest wrote a book. It's called The Inner Sky. Mm-hmm. That, in my opinion, is the best book for a beginner, because he has a knack for putting it together in a way. It's very complicated material. And like I said, you could go down this rabbit hole and you can get overwhelmed. He puts it together in a way that you're like, oh, great, I understand. Thank you. Mm-hmm. He puts it together in a very clear, concise way, and it's a great starting point. Mm-hmm. I give classes online. Mm-hmm. So if people wanted to get involved. Like if you wanted to learn anything, read books, take a class, get your chart done.
Yeah.
But I would say then you need to really start breaking away from the mainstream. Yeah,
I definitely break away from that. And how can people book in a reading with you?
Well, my website is www.astrologywithbetty.com. Mm-hmm. I have my phone number is 888-23-ASTRO, ASTRO. I'm on Long Island, but I do readings on Zoom, over the phone, and there's no difference. Like people ask me, there's no difference if we do it over the computer or if you come in. There's no difference in quality.
Cool. So I always thought that it had to be in person to be more personable, but I guess not.
No, it really doesn't, because there is no time and there is no space. There is no separation. I can get into your energy. I like to do the Zoom. I like to see the person, so we do Zoom.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, the Skype. It's kind of like this. We can see each other.
Yeah.
And, I am psychic as well. So I always defer to the astrology because you know what? I've only been on this earth for, I'm not going to tell you how long, but a lot less time than astrology has been here. So I look at the chart, but see, that's why I feel anybody can learn astrology.
Yeah.
But not everybody can do it the way that I do it. Mm-hmm. Like with anybody. Some people are, and I really hope that I don't sound arrogant because I don't mean to be.
Oh,
That's just something like, this is my thing. I love it. And when I look at it, I get information. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. It's like, I just know. I know. People say, how do you know that? I'm like, I don't know. I just know. And it just comes through the chart. And I look at it. And then also I'm very empathic. I feel people. Sometimes I see things. I'll hear things. But most of the time, I just kind of know it. Like I already know it. I think I'm tapping into the Akashic records. Mm-hmm. So it's just, we all have this ability. And I love to talk to people and tell them how they can tap into their own mm-hmm. abilities, because we all have them. We all have that little voice inside of us. And
how does one do that exactly?
Well, it's different for everybody. That's why when I look at their charts, it's different for everybody. Some people, the yoga, the Kundalini yoga works great. I recommend a lot of structural integration, but some people that doesn't work for. Martial arts, perhaps, sometimes running, sometimes painting, sometimes there's no one size fits all. That's what's so beautiful about it. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for doing this. This was amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I loved it. I was so excited, and you're so adorable, and I really appreciate you having me. It was really, really fun, and anytime you want to do it again, I would love it.
Yeah, I would probably definitely try to go to Long Island to visit you now.
Oh, where are you, in Manhattan?
No, I'm actually in New Jersey. I'm from Bayonne.
Well, we could set up a time. I'd love to do your chart, because you're very fascinating. I mean, I was looking at your podcast and everything, and look at what you've done and what you've accomplished, and it's amazing. And that's great, and I love it. I love a strong woman, who.
Yes.
Good for you.
Thank you.
God bless you. Oh, thank
you.
You too.
Oh, wait, did I? Oh, okay, there we go.